was aspired to become a nurse at a very early age. My grandmother raised me. We were raised in a very small town west of Orlando in Winter Garden. My grandmother took us in when I was 7 years old, my brother and I. We were what you call dirt poor. I can vividly remember my grandmother getting up early in the morning, fixing us a hot meal before boarding a bus to what is called Selwyn Farms. We were deeply segregated in the town of Winter Garden. I can vividly remember walking to school, being called, black, the N-word, and you name it. But I was determined to get out of that situation. Unfortunately, I had a few setbacks. I became pregnant at a very young age, which really hurt my grandmother like you would not believe. And at that time, I had to stop school and work. I worked on the farms in Zellwood. While going to school at night, I birthed my child. I continued to go to school. I graduated at the age of 17, applied and was accepted as a housekeeper at the old Sunland Center of Orlando, a 1,000-bed facility for the mentally retarded. I was so elated to be able to get a job, a real job, and take care of my son. Fortunately, I met my first husband and started having kids. But I still had that dream to become a nurse. So after having 4 kids, still with my husband, and being encouraged by a young lady by the name of Dorothy Jones to go on and pursue my desire to become a nurse. And I did, but still financially challenged, had to work full-time. I took a job on the 3 to 11 shift while I went to school full-time on the 7 to 3 shift. Sometimes when I look back, I cannot believe how I made it. But raising 4 kids, went to school full-time as a registered nurse and worked full-time on the 3 to 11 shift. But I graduated with honors, 4 small kids, became a registered nurse, and was hired by what is now West Orange Hospital, and I think it's Health Central of Winter Garden. But I was hired by the hospital, and I was elated again because it gave me the opportunity to go back to the town where I was raised and take care of those people that I grew up with and around. But I still had that desire to be in a position to have a great impact on those that I serve, which was primarily those in a dilapidated position. So I went on and became a supervisor at the hospital on the medical surgical unit, still yearning to be in that leadership position to have the greatest impact on those I served. So I applied for a position in DeBary, Florida. And at the time when I applied, the town had no one that looked like me. And in touring the facility where I applied as director of nursing, there was only one person in that facility that looked like me. So I interviewed with a young man by the name of Patrick Lane, young white guy, and also the current director of nursing, which was also a white lady. And she looked at me, and I know by the look that she gave me, I knew that I was not going to get that job. And I said, God, it's your will and your will alone. 2 days later, I received a call from Mr. Patrick Lane accepting me as his director of nursing. I was just so elated because I had never worked in a nursing home before. After being an RN for 2 years, I became their director of nursing. I remained at that facility for 6 years as the director of nursing, and Mr. Lane, who I credit where I am to this day, offered me the opportunity to go through an administrative and training program, and he promoted me after completing that program and passing the national and state exam and becoming a licensed nursing home administrator. He promoted me to assistant administrator, and I was assistant administrator for about a month before becoming administrator of that same facility. And I'm very proud to say, after all those struggles, I went from being a housekeeper at the age of 17 to now administrator, and I was approximately 40 years old at the time. So that tells you that it can be done. You just have to have the will and faith in God and persistence. So I was at that facility for a total of 11 years and received from the state of Florida the highest rating that you can get in a nursing home, superior rating. We received 10 consecutive years of superior rating. I was the first African American hired in Volusia County as director of nursing, also the first Black African American administrator to be hired in Volusia County. And believe it or not, I was the first African American to be hired as the president of the chairman of the DeBerry Chamber of Commerce, and the first African American to become the president of the Florida Healthcare Association in the Volusia County area, which at that time was known to be primarily people that were not my color. So that goes to show you, when you demonstrate exceptional performance, persistence, you can make it. So I'm just proud to say that going from a housekeeper to the administrator of that facility in such a short time, you can make it if you want to. What really kept me going was my faith in God. And that inner drive to say, you got to get out of this, we have to stop this poverty, and you can. So that's what kept me going. And also my kids kept me going. They were very, very well behaved, gave me the opportunity to go to school while they were going to school, and just wanted to give them what I did not have as a child. Being in a predominantly male-dominated role has not always been easy. As I mentioned, there have been a few male role models in my life, but there have also been some that, has made it very difficult in order for me to do my job. But I have always responded very confidently, because I have the skills and the knowledge to do my job and do it very well as an administrator. So I feel that, being placed against any male, in this industry, I can succeed because I always conduct myself in a very confident manner and do not back off when I know what I am speaking of. So I've always been successful in dealing with that type of situation. It takes compassion in order to be a good nursing home administrator. Anyone can come in and do the job, but to do it well and to demonstrate to those that you serve that you truly care about them, it takes someone that has genuine compassion for the elderly, and not just the elderly, but for the employees that are caring for the elderly. Because if you have happy and satisfied employees, then they are going to do a good job for the residents that they serve. And also the families, you got to be able to make them feel comfortable, because it's not an easy task to turn over your loved one to a complete stranger. And I see it every day when I meet with my family members, and especially for the first time when they are struggling with the decision to place a loved one in a nursing home. Just think about it. You lived all your life pretty much in the confinements of your own home, and you're having to transition from your home to a nursing facility. And most times than not, you're having to share a room with a complete stranger. So an administrator has to have a team in place that's going to soften that transition for the residents and the families. And I feel the facility where I work, Guardian Care Nursing and Rehab Center, we do an exceptional job in that respect. And I know that because When I joined the team at Guardian Care, there was about maybe 90 patients, and now people are begging to get into Guardian Care. We range in anywhere from 94 to 100% occupancy. And I was walking down the hall one day, and someone asked me, "You know all your patients?" And I said, "I would think so. I know my patients and I know my families. I mean, I know all of my families, but most of them I do, because I take the time when I'm making my rounds to stop and say hello, touch them, because sometimes that's the only touch that you're going to get, from the employees that work in a nursing home. And just say, if you're having a concern and you can't get your concerns responded to, call me. I'll give them my personal phone number, whereas most administrators won't do that, but I will, because I prefer for them to call me with a concern. And most times they won't call. It's just a confidence in having that number in the event that they need it. So in order to be, I think, a good nursing home administrator, you have to have compassion for your residents, your employees, and your families. And I think that's why I have been so successful, because I really care. It's not just a job for me. It's I care about these people, because believe it or not, I could be in that bed one day. That could be my family member. And I truly care about my residents. And I just want to share a story with you. I was making rounds yesterday, and I went into the room of a gentleman that had only been there for 2 weeks. And he said, "I want you to know I have been all over the world. And this facility, although it is an old facility," he said, "but it is rated excellent." He said, "You have some of the friendliest staff." I said, "Sir, you really made my day." I'm very proud to say I have 2 daughters. Both are nurses, and one followed in my footsteps by going on, and she has her master's in Health Services Administration and is also a nursing home administrator. She manages a facility of 40 skilled beds as well as assisted living beds, and is doing very, very well. So I'm very proud to say that I impacted them in some way, because they chose to go into nursing to help those seniors, and they love working with seniors. And I also have 3 sons. My middle son, I'm very proud to say that he did not go back to school until he was almost 40, did very well at Valencia, won a full scholarship to Rollins College, and he is now the founder and the CEO of a nonprofit agency here in Orlando. My youngest son and my oldest son, they are entrepreneurs right here in the Orlando area. We have a very, very close family, and we believe in giving back to the community that we serve. And I feel that looking back over the years, the many struggles that I have endured, as well as my family made a huge sacrifice for me to go back to school to make sure that I gave them a better life. So as I look back, I'm stronger because of it.